dollar intervention dominates the session as yen surges on confirmed joint central bank action, equities, metals, Forex, and the day's biggest mover all ahead. And the biggest move on the board is saved for last. Coinbase closed the session under pressure, with price action tracking a series of lower highs that reinforce the prevailing bearish structure. The path of least resistance continues to point toward lower levels as long as the trend remains intact and rallies fail to reclaim meaningful overhead. Dollar CAD spent the session retreating, weighed by broad dollar softness following the intervention headlines out of Japan. The trend leans lower, and the structure suggests further downside extension toward lower levels remains the more probable outcome while sellers maintain control. The Dow navigated the session with a constructive bias, holding above recent support as equity sentiment steadied despite the currency market volatility. The trend points higher, and the structure favors further extension toward higher levels on continued broad market stability. Bitcoin softened through the session, unable to sustain any intraday recovery attempts as the bearish trend reasserted. Price action continued to favor lower levels, and the path of least resistance remains pointed downward while the broader crypto risk tone stays subdued. NVDA closed the session on the back foot, with the bearish trend keeping a cap on any attempted bounces, and the structure continuing to favor lower levels. Price action reflects sustained distribution, and the trend leans lower while that overhead pressure remains in place. Crude oil held lower through the session as the completion of the OPEC Plus output cut reversal and the Kuwait production surge kept supply concerns elevated. The mild bearish trend suggests the path of least resistance remains toward lower levels, while that supply narrative persists. Silver drifted lower in the session, unable to benefit meaningfully from the modest firmness seen in gold, as the mild bearish trend kept sellers in the driver's seat. The structure favors a continuation toward lower levels, while the trend remains intact. The tech-heavy index traded with a tentative tone through the session, balancing a mild bearish trend against an underlying path that leans toward higher levels on recovery. Price action suggests a tug-of-war at current structure, but the probable path tilts toward higher levels on stabilization. The yen climbed for a third straight session after Tokyo and Washington confirmed coordinated foreign exchange intervention, flattening the dollar broadly. Meanwhile, oil held lower as OPEC Plus completed its output cut reversal, and Kuwait production surged. The single most important item on the calendar today is US ISM Manufacturing PMI. Microsoft stood out as the strongest name on the board today, with a strong bullish trend driving price action toward higher levels across the session. Momentum remained to the upside, and the structure reinforces the probability of further extension toward higher levels, making it the day's biggest mover. That wraps Monday's evening recap for ForexBullion. If this breakdown added value, subscribing keeps the daily analysis coming. Tomorrow's morning edition checks whether the yen intervention momentum held, and how US ISM Manufacturing PMI reshaped the dollar picture overnight. This is general market information for educational purposes only, not financial advice.